First up, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have a few announcements. So tomorrow night, the Affordable Housing Trust will hold their second forum for community input on the housing production plan at the Community Barn on Wheel Road at 7 p.m. Please come share your thoughts on Grafton's needs, goals, strategies for housing. Friendly reminder, all of Grafton Recreation's fields and facilities will be closed for the season from November 15th through April 1st. Grafton Rec will hold the Amazing Turkey Challenge on Saturday, November 18th. Drive to points of interest in Grafton to complete fun team challenges. Registration closes this Friday. The Metro West Building Officials Association is hosting a Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday, November 23rd at the Grafton Senior Center. Their goal is to provide our seniors 60 and older a joyous sit-down holiday meal with members of their local community. Seniors from Grafton, Millbury, Northborough, Northbridge, Sutton, and Upton are welcome. To reserve a seat, please contact Shannon Smith at 508-839-9242 or email smiths@grafton-ma.gov. Grafton Celebrates the Holidays will be held Sunday, December 3rd from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. This event will include a craft fair here at the Municipal Center, frosty stops at local businesses, a visit from Santa, and the ceremonial lighting on the Common. Next up, we have appointments from the town administrator.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. So Evan, if you could just kind of walk us through how we got to where we're at today
Yes.
on the town council appointment and kind of what your thoughts are moving forward
Sure.
with Chris.
Yes, thank you. So we had reached out to a number of different firms to kind of walk through what we were looking for new town council. Just trying to make sure that people's experience and kind of demeanor lined up with what the town generally pursues and what our culture is here. We wound up settling on Harrington Heap. They are a firm, specifically Christopher Brown as an attorney at that firm. They had helped us when we were in litigation with Castagna over the DPW garage. So we had already built a relationship with that firm. So we were able to secure their services. They will be special counsel up until the final day when Ginny Kramer is no longer counsel, and then they would take over as town council from then on. So one of the tricky things when you're looking for counsel is we have a lot of active cases, generally speaking. And again, generally speaking, when people enter into litigation against a municipality or with a municipality, they go to municipal law firms. So we cannot hire those law firms because they are representing people that are actively engaged with the town of Grafton elsewhere. So that limited us down a little bit as far as the interview process goes, but I'm very happy with Chris Brown and Harrington Heap. They have a good bench. They've got a good depth of talent, and I think they're going to serve Grafton very well.
Outstanding. I just wanted to recognize Ginny Kramer. She was with us for a number of years. It was a mainstay of board meetings and town meetings and all the litigation that's gone over the last 10, 12 years, I think. Thank you, Ginny, for all the work you've done for Grafton. We really appreciate it. Any board commentary questions?
Ginny's been fantastic as far as I'm concerned. She's been a great, I was going to say laid back town council, but very, very easy to work with, and everything went very well.
Any other questions, comments? Great. I will take a
Mr.
motion.
Chair,
Ms. Foley.
I move the board vote to affirm the appointment of Christopher Brown as Grafton's town council.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Next up, we have discussion on Tom Mulcahy. He's our captain in Station 2. Ray, I think you were going to take this.
Yes. So Tom Tom retired and we actually accepted his resignation at our last meeting and I just want to read the letter from Chief Matthews. Dear Select Board, I would like to announce that on October 7th, 2023, Captain Thomas Mulcahy retirement from the Grafton Fire Department after 49 years of service to the town of Grafton. Captain Mulcahy began his career at Station 2 on June 2nd, 1975, moved up, promoted to lieutenant on December 31st, 2015, and then became interim captain April 5th, 2023, and I'd like to send our best wishes to Captain Mulcahy.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Ray. Next up, we have a presentation of the Veterans Day event at the American Legion.
Hello, everyone. Justin Stone with the Veterans Advisory Committee. I didn't know I was going to do a presentation until right now, so this is my presentation.
Okay.
Up here because we partnered with the Legion and the VFW with helping spread the word for our Veterans Day ceremony that they do every year, and we wanted to invite you out there. It's going to be this Saturday, the 11th of November at 11 o'clock at the Legion. It's going to be a quick ceremony. So if you're interested in coming, arrive a little early, but probably about a 15 to 20 minute ceremony. Gonna have some Boy Scouts that are gonna do a couple of presentations and things like that. So it'll be a great time. I'd love to have you out there. Any questions?
Any questions? Mr. Stone, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, up next we have a one-day beer and wine license from Apple Tree Arts. Is there anybody here representing that? Okay, without any questions on that application? If none, I will
Mr.
entertain
Chair?
a motion. Ms. Foley.
I move the board vote to approve a one-day beer and wine license for Apple Tree Arts at 1 Grafton Common on Friday, November 10th, 2023.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. Next up, we have a one-day beer and wine license for the VFW at 25 Main Street. Anybody here for that?
Nope.
Nope. I will entertain a
Mr. Chair?
motion. Ms. Foley.
Mr. Chairman, just one thing. It says here one-day music license. The motion says one-day beer and wine, but it does say one-day music licenses. Are we approving both, or what are we doing here?
So, where does it say music? Sorry.
D, item D says one-day music
One-day
license,
music
via
license.
VFW, but the motion says one-day beer and wine, and the application says one-day beer and wine.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no
I
music.
think it's just a typographical
Oh, okay.
error
Yeah.
on,
Okay.
on that carryover.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Chair?
Ms. Foley.
I move the board vote to approve a one-day beer and wine license for the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 1497 at 25 Main Street on Sunday, November 19th, 2023.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, we have a cable TV license renewal.
You want me to take that just briefly?
Sure.
So at the last meeting of the select board, we had met with Bill August and the cable committee representation regarding the Verizon contract that they had negotiated. There were some questions towards the end of that segment regarding the contract itself and the locations that are called out in the appendix or the addenda to that contract. So we went back and worked with Mr. August and the attorney for Verizon, and the approach is, or that we would recommend, is that the board vote the contract as is and allow us to update that list separately via a side letter because of the timing of this contract, as well as the amount of time it will take to go back through the Verizon process in particular. There's really no risk of interruption of service, and while those locations are out of date on the contract, the locations listed that aren't served anymore have already been disconnected, and the ones that aren't listed are already connected and receiving services. So it just seems to save time and money. Just vote the contract as the motion for consideration reads, and then we'll do that through a side letter that will then be attached to the contract, so that next time comes up for renewal, they can incorporate those changes directly into the document.
Okay. Is the board comfortable with that?
I am.
All right, great. Then I will take a motion.
And are we reading the entire motion?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the motion for consideration. Acting in its capacity as a statutory cable television franchise, issuing authority pursuant to MGL 166A, and finding that the cable franchise renewal proposal of Verizon New England, Inc., Verizon, reasonably meets the franchise and cable-related renewal needs and interests of the public and the town, and finding that Verizon's financial and technical qualifications and Verizon's local programming channels, facilities, financial support, and services are reasonable to meet town cable franchise needs, and, based on the recommendations of the town's Cable Oversight Committee, to approve the proposed Verizon renewal franchise, and further based on the October 25th, 2023 agreement of Verizon's licensing attorney, John Harrington Esquire, to personally and cooperatively work with the town and Town Cable Council to have Verizon ensure that any municipal or school buildings for which the town requests a standard installation of basic cable service will be provided such installation and service subject to the same terms that apply to municipal and school buildings already receiving such service pursuant to the Town of Grafton Verizon renewal license. I move the board vote to approve the proposed Grafton Verizon New England, Inc. renewal franchise effective October 24th, 2023, subject to the agreement of Verizon's licensing attorney, John Harrington Esquire, to personally and cooperatively work with the town and Town Cable Council to ensure that any municipal or school buildings for which the town requests a standard installation of basic cable service will be provided such installation and service subject to the same terms that apply to the municipal and school buildings already receiving such service, pursuant to the Town of Grafton Verizon renewal license. This motion shall supersede the prior motion of the Select Board as voted October 24th, 2023.
Second.
All right. Thank you, Anne Marie. Appreciate that. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Barring none, all those in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you. Ms. Foley, would you like to take the Trails Committee charge?
Yeah, does anybody have some water? I'm kidding.
See what we do, if you would like it.
So I'm here to represent the Open Space and Recreation Committee again, and bringing a new charge forward to the board. For those at home and people who have reached out with questions on this, the Open Space and Recreation Committee is an offshoot or directly is formed out because of the Open Space and Rec Master Plan. So that was undertaken a number of years ago, and it's a 7-year plan. So the Open Space and Rec Committee has been working for the last couple of years, and we brought a charge to this board in December of 2022. We were told to tease it a little bit, add some more, make it more robust, I guess, for lack of a better word at this time. And we did so and brought the charge back again in the end of June, and it was voted on at that time 5-0 that we would accept the charge. And then, as you know, in September, there was some pushback from a commission in town, and so we didn't vote on it, or we didn't move forward with it. This committee, or the board did not move forward with it. And so we went back, I went back to the committee, as I think I mentioned at our last meeting, and it was pretty unanimous amongst the committee members that we felt strongly enough about this Trails Committee that we wanted to pursue it. And so we're here tonight, or I'm here tonight, before you I can read out the new charge that we came up with, which is we're kind of back to a little bit of a global charge, not as specific. I mean, I will state I was at the Master Plan Committee meeting last night, and we were discussing what has come up in all of the outreach that's happened so far in our community, and that trails, I think if I can quote what was said, was, kind of one of the number one things that comes up over and over at all of the outreach that's happening for the master plan, unrelated to obviously the Open Space and Rec plan. So, and additionally, I do have the Open Space and Rec action plan here with me. It's a pretty long document. It's 20-some pages, but I will say that the Trails Committee is mentioned 18 times in this document that was done before this committee was formed. And so I'll read you the updated charge. No, if you have any questions, let me know afterwards. If that, do you want me to read it, or is that necessary?
I've read it
Yeah.
in the packet.
I read it. I read it.
Has anybody not read? Okay, then let's just open it up for discussion. Thank you so much for citing the context on that. I appreciate it.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Jefferson.
So, I watched the meeting, your 1018 meeting, and at one point, Mr. Carley seemed to raise some concerns about wondering how this committee would know if they were stepping on toes of town staff or other committees in light of the information that we received at our last meeting. So I was wondering, who did we envision the Trails Committee primarily reporting up to, and how often? Just because it's mentioned that they'll work in partnership with the Conservation Commission, Grafton Land Trust, Recreation Commission, and Planning Board. So, with no committee or board designees on the Trails Committee, I was just wondering, how often we would, I guess, expect them to meet, possibly expect them to coordinate their findings, that type of stuff.
I mean, they're gonna report to this board. It would fall under the Board of Select, there's the Select Board, is my understanding, as any other committee that we have out there, or most committees. In terms of how often they would meet, I suppose it could be similar to, the Waste Management and Reduction, or Waste Reduction Committee that meets very infrequently. So I think that could be up to the committee in terms of the needs, and I don't know that it has to be delineated again. If you look at other charges that are on our website, it's rarely delineated how often the committees meet. The committees that I'm on, ARPA for example, it's not there that we meet every month or every other month, and in fact, right now we're taking a hiatus for a few months, so I don't know that has to be delineated right now, and that could be something that the committee could come up with.
I was just curious if it had been discussed. I also, the last line of the committee charge, to me, still reads pretty much like 6.3-B, which we were asked to remove. 6.3-B reads, work with relevant town and regional organizations to develop a map of existing trails and proposed routes and destinations. The committee shall consult with relevant town and regional organizations to develop a map of existing trails and proposed routes and destinations. Sounds almost identical.
Interestingly enough, I'm dry right now. Last night that came up during the master plan committee as something that came up frequently at the last meeting, which was in October. So there was one section that was relative to open space and rec, and it was stated that the information is not accessible to people out there. How can we advertise the trails that we're using or that we have? Do we have maps out there? And this was kind of identified as a need still in the town. So I think it's still appropriate.
But we've been informed by town staff that it's not appropriate.
How would it not be appropriate? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, Mass General Law 150E, you can't supplant union work. So you have union employees that have been working on this for a year, and you can't now come in and give that work to somebody else.
I mean, the committee shall consult with relevant town and
Seems like
regional.
a sort of an advise and
Yeah.
review and approve kind of a thing, or advise and consent.
The
I mean,
intention
we're
of
talking
this,
about consult versus work
Please,
with.
please, one at a time.
the intent of this, of us coming up with this committee, and no doubt the intent of the committee, once it is formed, is certainly just like this committee. I'm not here to take work from anyone that's employed by this town. And I don't think that is, I know that is not the intent of this charge by any means. I mean, do you still feel like the language is, I mean, this has been here since you all saw it Thursday. So if there was some issues that could have been addressed, with an addendum on Friday, that would have been great. But
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Jefferson.
we can't do that outside of open meeting. That's deliberation. I can't tell you what I think of this charge via email. It has to be discussed in open session. And I'm not against the entire charge, but I do think that one line should be removed. I'm not saying throw out the entire bathwater here.
So if I might, Emery, I think what I heard you say was the conversation went along the lines of that the maps are not accessible, they may be difficult to find.
that was just last night, actually, unrelated to open space and rec committee. It came up. that during that Wednesday or the Thursday, open session there at the high school, that it came up that where are these maps and people can't find them.
Sure.
So-
So I guess what I'm hearing is we've had staff that have been working on creating the maps. We have a separate issue, which is getting them out into the public and promoting them, making them accessible, that sort of stuff. So is there a way that we can just adjust the charge to reflect the committee's desire to promote, advertise, make those accessible, without also sort of conflicting with the work that's already been done within the staff context on creating the maps? It should be relatively straightforward, I would imagine.
And additionally, this isn't just related to what's going on in conservation. You know, the Grafton Land Trust has a very robust map system as well. So it's actually just kind of looking at, you know, coordinating and overseeing them. So yeah, we can, if you want to make a motion, or somebody wants to make a motion or to change the last line.
Just one question, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman. So the work, no one wants to take work away from people. I don't think people are looking to take on more work in life. Is that work getting done though?
Yeah.
So that would be a thing that, in my world, we would assign somebody to a different project and people would say, well, that's mine. Well, what have you done on it? Well, I haven't done anything. So we're going to assign somebody to that new project. So is that work getting done that would allegedly or supposedly be taken away?
Yes.
Good.
So the committee shall consult with relevant town and regional organizations to assist with coordinating, I don't know,
Mr. Chairman,
the maps. Yeah.
Mr. Mead?
the committee shall consult with relevant town and regional organizations to assist, where necessary, to develop a map of existing trails and proposed routes and destinations. That does it.
That sounds good.
Okay. Do we need to say that again
Any
anyway?
comments?
I'm sorry, so the committee shall consult with oh wow,
Also relevant, but
relevant town and regional organizations, to assist, what did I say?
To
Give me the
assist,
playback.
I got part of it.
I
To
thought I got it
Assist
the
us.
first time
assi-
really good.
To assist where necessary. I got
Where
that.
necessary,
where necessary. Yeah.
to develop a map of existing trails and proposed routes and destinations.
So moved.
Oh, wow.
That's what you,
I have a,
Amber will get it off the tape.
do I have a second?
Second,
All right, I have a motion and a second.
I made the motion, I guess I
Additional
can't,
discussion?
I can't second.
Barring none, all those in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. All right, great. Next up, we have the FY '24 salt contract.
Yeah, so this is our standard contract, format that we have done for years and years here in Grafton. The only difference generally year over year is what the price of salt is, and salt is down roughly $7 a ton right now. So this is pretty good news for us. We go through a lot of tons, depending on the year. But otherwise, status quo.
Okay. Is it Eastern? The same,
Eastern and Morton.
And
I
Morton,
think
right.
we do the two, so if one doesn't have the product, the other one does.
got it. Okay, any discussion on this contract or these contracts?
Mr. Chair?
Ms. Bully?
I move the board vote to approve and sign the salt contracts for fiscal year '24 with the primary supplier Mid-American Salt LLC and the secondary supplier Morton Salt Incorporated.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. All right, next up, we have select board reports. Do I have it?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Mead?
EDC is going to be, I think I said this at the last, last meeting, EDC is gonna be putting out a survey, a business survey very shortly, to all the businesses in Grafton, and we're gonna get that information back, and then we're going to have a business meeting at the post office pub, to go over the, results of that survey, and get questions and comments and, find out what the businesses need, what they want, and what we can do better.
Okay, thanks. Any questions on that?
I'll just say, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Just make a comment, Ray. I do like the direction that the committee, seems to be moving in. just kind of going through your agendas. But, and that's a positive, and I'm not saying it with a but, just if you guys could get minutes, because I have been kind of following.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I have asked that same question.
Okay,
so.
great.
All right, Mr. Elmo.
Thanks, great idea. Are other people allowed to go? Can we
No,
go
you
to that? We cannot go. No, we can't go and observe.
No, you can't touch anything.
Post office
I
pub,
wouldn't
it's
touch
open
anything.
anyway.
I would just go and listen.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody's invited.
Let me know when the date is. That sounds
Yeah.
like a great
It's- I
plan.
think it's January 15th.
Oh, I can't
I'm
make that.
just, I'm just kidding.
Well,
You're
I
gonna
tell
be
you what,
gone? So am I.
Get the information to Amber and let's put it on the
Yes.
announcements.
Yep, we will.
And I guess the thing that I wanted to say on that was, I wonder if, there was the rapid recovery plan that was put together for North Grafton.
Yep.
And one of the things in there that was recommended is sort of a business association, so maybe during that discussion, you can,
That,
have them self-organized to maybe put together that association. We've got some informal stuff happening up near the Common, which I think is great. There's a lot of communication happening up here with some of the businesses, and if we could sort of broaden that umbrella out a little bit, to have a more, inclusive perspective, a broader, more comprehensive understanding of, the Grafton business perspective, and, definitely would be useful.
well, that survey should go out in the next week and hopefully we get good responses, so.
Love
It's
it.
pretty detailed survey and it's actually kind of exciting to, hopefully get a lot of information back.
Great. Love it. Anything else?
Mr. Chair.
Anyone else? Mr. Jefferson?
I just want to thank PEC 106's Flying Spaghetti Cods Patrol for inviting me to their den meeting last Friday night. The Webelos and I spent time together for their Building a Better World requirement, where they invite a public official to one of their meetings to learn about their role in the community and discuss important issues that the patrol feels are facing our community. We spent time talking about the water cycles, sidewalks, signage, various boards and committees in town government, and the importance of remaining involved. It's a good time.
Fantastic.
Good kids.
stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Master Plan Committee met last night, and as I said, we talked about what came out of the community involvement group that happened in October. So we kind of went through that line by line, and then we spent a lot of time looking at, working on a vision statement. So that's hopefully at our next meeting, we'll be able to nail that down. So we're getting there.
Great. Good to hear. Ray and I did the Ask Me Anything on the 26th. Thank you, Dan Fitzgerald and lovely wife, for coming out.
Yeah, yes.
It was lightly attended, but we went through a lot of topics, actually.
I wouldn't even call it lightly attended, but I would call it wicked lightly attended.
Okay. Well,
But we had fun.
it was good, though.
We
We,
did.
went through
We
a
had
lot of
fun.
topics. We pretty much everything that's going on in town that I think was discussed.
Yeah.
We had some conversations about pickleball and One Grafton Common, the old fire station.
Yeah.
All kinds of things. So it was good. I really enjoyed it.
I did too.
So yeah, let's keep those up. And we got a nice note on the back of that, just thanking us for putting it together. And so that's always a good sign if people are reaching out after meetings and saying thanks. We thought it was valuable, so it was good. Anything else in the way of select board updates? Okay, moving on to our TA update.
Okay. So project updates, I only have one major project to update you on. The rest of them are in various states that they were in last time, really. So I just heard back from Rep Meridian regarding the message board that we wanted to put down at the intersection here by Swirls and Scoops. There is no place that we can put it down there. It is all DOT owned, and they will not be granting permission to put it there. So we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board and have further conversation about where we want to prospectively put that.
Okay.
So the area that we had hoped for turns out has infrastructure under the ground. Not only is it DOT owned, but it has infrastructure under the ground that is going to be well, DOT doesn't want to mess with any of it, so
Sure.
it's pretty much a straight no. Not that I think that that's an unreasonable no, but
Yep.
We'll have to go back to the drawing board and talk. Maybe we put it on a future agenda and talk about locations again.
I think that might be a good idea. I know, just in informal conversations, Ray and I were talking about potentially some discussions with business owners along the corridor. So, some type of public-private partnership,
Yep.
might be a
Sure.
good idea, some fundraising. So, I think if we can get creative with this one, hopefully, and
Yep.
see what might be possible.
I do want to thank Rep Meridian for reaching out to DOT and
Absolutely.
he got a meeting together, and DOT was very gracious and eager to help if they could. It just didn't pan out.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Yeah, the location's really important for that one.
Absolutely.
Still me.
So other updates, we are in the midst of converting all the retirees over to the Mass Strategic Health Group. We just held a retiree breakfast with about 75 participants that came to the municipal center here and went through an information center session. We also held a online information session today, and that seems to be going pretty well. The retirees are a little bit, a lot of them are a little bit nervous about the change, but once we go through the program, they generally really like it. I think it's a really good change for them. Changes their whole way that they access care, and it gives them one point of contact, which is this group called Retiree First. So that's pretty neat. So no matter what you're doing, you call your one number, and they help you get through everything else. So that's really cool. We are excited about that. So budgeting. So we're really starting to pick up the pace here. So we met on Monday with our forecasting consultant that we use to help us put together some stuff. We've added even more things that we are tracking and projecting to the spreadsheet that I showed you all last year. And so I think within probably 2 weeks we will have something that's releasable to the public that we've cleaned up of any areas of debate. So we're really excited about that now that we've gone through one full forecasting cycle and it worked and we were on track. It's actually kind of fun to be doing it the second time because we've seen all the hard work paying off and the numbers falling where they're supposed to. Capital planning, that is underway as well. We have our capital summit that we have every year on November 15th. And so that's when we get in a room with all of the department heads and look at the plan holistically and hash out what needs to go where. And it's a good opportunity for different departments to understand what the needs are globally and how we can move things around to make everything work. And so that's a fun exercise for us to do. And I think that the department heads have really got a grasp of how this is supposed to work now. The budget book, I've already done the initial layout, so now it's really just plugging things in. We are trying to make it a little more robust and get closer to that GFOA certification of having a good budget book. Operational budget, we are in the early stages. We have basically fleshed the entire thing out. Now it's just a matter of looking at what goes up and what goes down and plugging that in across. So we're lucky to have the ClearGov software that we use because creating the new budget, you click a button and it moves everything over and mirrors it, and then you build off of that instead of trying to work with an Excel and things not adding up correctly and all that. So that's pretty cool. And then I know that the board wanted an update last time on 1727 Upton Street.
So before you move,
Sorry.
if I could just ask a question on the operational budget.
Yes.
I think when we talked about this last year, you said you were contemplating a zero-based budget process. Is that happening?
No.
It's not. Okay.
We contemplated it.
All right.
We threw that out the window.
Yeah, well, a little bit. So,
So I know
This
it's not
is-
something you can do every year,
right.
but
So-
I'm in really strong support of doing that at some point.
I agree. So this is what I will say. I underestimated how far we are away from creating a budget that captures everything on its own line that can then be parsed and brought back down to zero. Because until, which we're doing now. And what I mean by that is if everything is in a lump in a lot of these budgets, it has been that way for decades.
Yep.
And so it's untangling that web so that we can then break that apart without spending a month of staff time trying to figure out these things that have, that's the way it's always been, right? And so, I really wanted to do a zero-based budget, as did Mary. We looked at it about 2 months ago and realized that we're not going to get there for this fiscal year.
Okay.
But we're getting closer. We've done a lot of itemization. We've done a lot of just account by account going through every single dollar that hits those accounts. And it's all, rational, normal spending. It's just been that way for so long that it's just a given. And we need to parse all of that out.
Yep.
And it's actually pretty interesting because as we're parsing all of this out further, we're learning ways to better integrate different bills with other departments, right? They've been paying this for 15 years and this other department's been paying it 15 years, but why don't we just make that one line item, and right now we don't have to do all this crazy accounting to move money around after and all that stuff.
Yep.
So we're getting there, but I think I was over ambitious in being able to do it for this
All right.
fiscal year.
I'll ask you about it next year.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. 17 and 27 Upton. So since your last meeting, I have met with GSX twice on this property. We are working on some environmentals. They've been in front of the Conservation Commission twice and are going to be submitting their first application to the Conservation Commission to get an actual decision on that. Part of the issue with that property, as you know, is it's pretty wet, so there'll have to be some wetlands replication in a couple of areas. We also are working on a couple of things that are environmental impact based, meaning that there is some contamination on the site. And so we're just working through how to navigate those concerns. But there is forward movement. So that's all I have.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Mead.
I know I asked about this before, but 8 Pine Street. GSX had told us that they were going to be purchasing or paying for the building permit, which we gave them a discounted price on, within 90 to 120 days. That time has passed. Where are we?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. So I think, and we should probably put it on the agenda for this board, that we rescind that building permit for 8 Pine Street.
You mean the fee reduction?
The fee reduction, yep. And ask them where they are on that piece of property. Because I'm not sure how many times this is, but they have not come through. And we're working with them on another project, which they appear to be making progress on. But the original one is down the toilet, so. So, yeah, if we can put that on an agenda, I'd like that.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess we would want them to come in or at least get some information from them. So, well, we need to get some kind of update.
Sure.
I think, so.
I mean, yeah, okay. I disagree vehemently with that tact.
With bringing them in?
Yeah.
I don't think we should bring them in. I just think we should just, rescind the building permit.
Well, okay.
Well, you can't rescind the building permit.
We can rescind
The fee
the
reduction.
fee reduction.
Right.
Okay. Well, it sounds like it needs
Sure.
to be in a future agenda.
I agree.
I guess my thinking was we needed us, if we were going to do a fee reduction, it would benefit us to have some additional information and at least understand where they're at.
To rescind the fee reduction.
Yes.
Yeah, we can invite them in. Yep.
Not to invite, well, at least reach out to them to see if they had some commentary on it.
Yeah.
To inform our
When I spoke to them today, they're still having trouble with their financing.
Okay.
So we're the same place we were 5 months ago, 6 months ago. I don't remember when.
Okay. All right. So I think what you just said was we're not going to get another update. It is what.
Oh,
it
no,
is.
no, no, don't take it that way. I'm more than happy to ask them to come in or give you a different update. It just seems like an odd situation, so I'm happy to do it.
So I guess I'm not advocating necessarily that they come in. I guess in the spirit of trying to be good partners.
Yep.
If we're contemplating rescinding that fee reduction, it would be good to signal to them that we're thinking about doing that. Do they have any commentary to the board before we take that action?
Understood.
I guess that's more
Yep.
what I'm saying.
Makes sense.
So just in a more partnership oriented approach.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
I just
Very
have
good.
a question, Mr. Chair, on the
course.
1727. So last year we did a 2-year extension on that, is that correct?
Correct.
was like
April
October.
1st, 2025 is when it expires.
April.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had just had it up today. That's the only reason I
Okay.
know that top of mind.
Great.
Like
Thanks.
normally.
All right. We don't have any, well, I guess next up is correspondence. Is there any that anybody wanted to bring up?
No.
All right. We have no resignations. Next up is public comments. Does anybody have any public comments? Anything on Zoom? Come on up. Tyler, I'm just going to ask that you keep it to 3 minutes. And William's going to signal to you when you've got 30 seconds left to start wrapping it up.
Hello.
Hi.
I would just like to.
Sorry, can you just give us your name and address? Sorry.
Oh, Tyler Holden, 95 Wesson.
Thanks.
I would just like to mention something stated by Mr. Jefferson at the last meeting, claiming I had said something that I had not. To an uninformed attendee or listener, may unnecessarily alter their perception of me being a liar, which I am not. At that meeting, Mr. Jefferson stated that he had reached out to the neighbors and they reported things not being smoothed over. At this time, I would like to ask you who them that you reached out to, and if it was the Richlicks. I recall at the previous meeting we had, I was the one that said I had reached out to our abutting neighbors and there had been communication. I just don't want people to think I'm a liar because I was the one that brought that up to the board and you had not.
Okay. So, Andy, you can, of course, respond to that if you want. I just want to give a quick heads up, I guess, in terms of what public commentary is for. It's not sort of back and forth
No.
Q&A with the select board or a deliberation necessarily. So, thank you for the information.
Yeah, I wasn't at the meeting. He had said that.
Understood.
So I just wanted to, it is being recorded so anyone can go back and look at it, So that's all.
Okay. Absolutely. Thank you.
Not a liar. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any other commentary? Anything online?
You have no hands on Zoom.
All right. Then next up we have some meeting minutes.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Foley.
I move that the board vote to approve the meeting minutes for October 10th, October 12th, and October 16th of 2023 as written.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Barring none, all those in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. We will not be doing executive session this evening, so I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And we're adjourned. Thank you.